I mean, I'm going to say it here because we've talked about it on the podcast so much, but being told you can't swear or blaspheme, but also the slime will be cold.
Yeah, yeah.
And Tasker's going to whip it at you with some considerable venom.
Yeah.
He's a cruel man, that Joe Tasker.
Yeah, he is.
All right, speaking of cruel men, we should begin the pod.
What a segue.
Hello and welcome to Shut Up and Answer the Question, the show whose intro is we're gonna stop. I'm putting a ban on it. I'm putting a ban on the intro. I'm Ethan Lawrence,
and I'm Sean Antony. So we've definitely got a time frame now for our intros.
Yeah, although I did stumble, so it remains long.
I thought you were just trying to smooth it out. I thought you were going with it. Thanks for acknowledging it, though.
What I really should do, is plan what I'm going to say before I just launch into it.
Yeah, but then it's sort of like that's the whole premise of the podcast is we don't plan. So
I love that we've generated a situation where we can automatically lower the expectations of the audience as we go and say, look, no, it's supposed to be shit.
Exactly. There we go. We don't know where it's going to go.
Speaking of things that are supposed to be shit, you can follow us on Instagram at Shut Up and Answer Pod, on TikTok at Shut Up Pod, and if you want to send us an email, you can with a question to shutuppod@yahoo.com. That's SHUTUPPOD at YAHOO.com. If you want. And we have a Discord. We have a Discord that you can join. The link is in the show notes and on all of our Instagrams. There, pod bump. No one can say I didn't do it. We have a guest.
Yes. And I'm excited for this one as well. So I can't, I'm shutting up. Sorry, the intro has just already gone too long. I'm shutting up. You can introduce our guest, dude.
We're very excited little boys. And that will become clear as we go. So I've written a page and a half of A6, as is tradition. And our guest is going to have to sit there while I read their career back to them. So enjoy that, wallow in it. Let's go.
Excellent.
Our guest is a gamer, presenter, and content creator. After exploding onto YouTube as a beloved part of What Culture, he then went on to produce some of the finest and funniest gaming and gaming-adjacent videos, first with Vidiots and subsequently with Triple Jump, during which time he made countless disgusting meals, played some of the most awful games ever made, and even getting hit by a car. Please be careful. Clap, 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 clap. He can now be found presenting the ongoing and much beloved Worst Games Ever series, as well as his solo YouTube channel, This Is Interesting. Please welcome a man I once bought a cameo of over the Christmas New Year perineum, and honestly, he couldn't have been more gracious about it. Welcome, Peter Austin.
Goodness me. Thank you very much. I don't know quite. I've got a lot to say about that. One of which is the out of context made countless disgusting meals, which, for those who don't know what that refers to, just sounds like during the course of my career, I didn't eat very well throughout, wasn't really fueling myself properly, but it was on camera. So,
in retrospect, putting that before I said your name did do you a disservice.
Well, the other thing I was concerned about, and the reason I was so quiet throughout the entire intro, is because I thought I was about to get my introduction after the words, speaking of things that are supposed to be shit. But fortunately, that was for your social media instead. So
again, I am realizing that I have created quite a toxic atmosphere.
No, I feel very welcome, and I feel very, very pleased to be here. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
Oh, thanks so much for coming, dude.
It's our pleasure. It really, really is. So how have things been, Peter?
Oh, I mean, it's pretty strange, pretty chaotic. Those who are aware of what I do or what I did will know that my time at Triple Jump, everyone's time at Triple Jump, came to an end this year. Unfortunately, the algorithm gods did not bless us over the past sort of 12 to 18 months. And over time on YouTube, we thought this is sadly becoming untenable. We're a large company. We've got 7 wages to pay. So we've all moved on to new things. But fortunately, the things that I've moved on to seem to be going better than expected, and it's really nice to be doing a bit of the old familiar stuff that I've always done, doing the worst games ever thing, which has always been a lot of fun, and trying new stuff as well outside of gaming, because I've been in the gaming content creation world for like 9 years now, and I kind of fell into it. It was never really the plan. So to be able to now step out of that and try some other stuff is a real treat.
We'll have to get into that, because I'm so interested as to how that all came about. I mean, from my perspective, and I know for Sean as well, we've basically followed you the entire time.
Oh, lovely! Oh, so that's very nice. Yeah,
it really is an honor to have you. You've been a part of many lives, and we love you dearly.
Oh well, thank you very much. It's really nice actually because we, as you said in the intro, I've gone from one place to another with Ben Potter, who I've worked with at four separate ventures now, which is a very unusual thing, career-wise, to find yourself in a double act, as it were, and move from one company to another. But to go from all those different channels and keep moving forward and find that you still see some of the same names who've been around since 2016, 2017 in the audience, that what a gift, and what a pleasure to have that. It's really nice.
Yeah, it really is a great little community that you've built. It really is wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaking of community, we have a community in our Discord, and one of the people in the Discord has asked a question. I've decided, Sean, I've made an executive decision that Discord members get priority on questions.
That's a good shout, really. Well, thank you to the legal team for that.
Yeah, that's in the show notes. And I'm just going to, if you send it via the email, even though we keep telling you to do it via the email, I'm just going to ignore you. Our question is from A Pint of Cthulhu.
Okay.
Which is a fantastic name.
Just a half for me. I'm driving. So.
Oh, it's the half of Eldritch.
Yeah.
He asks, if you could body swap with anyone, alive or dead, for just 1 week, who and why? He adds the additional note that the dead person would be sort of alive at a time of your choosing when they were existing, so you can sort of pick them at their best time.
Right. And can I body swap with someone who's dead and just have some bloody peace and quiet and be buried 6 feet underground for a period of time?
You know what? Perfectly viable option.
It's not been ruled out. Alive or dead, I'll pick a dead person, please, and just chill.
Any random dead person.
Yeah.
Preferably someone buried with snacks.
Yeah, that would be good, and maybe an air tube or something like that going up to the surface. But
buried at sea. Go for a swim.
Yeah, lovely.
Meet all the crabs.
That's an interesting question. I mean, because normally it's the dinner party question, isn't it? Who'd you sit and have dinner with? But that's completely different to being the person. There's lots of people I could sit and have a chat with, but I wouldn't necessarily want to be them, and vice versa. It'd be interesting to be certain people, but they would be insufferable at a dinner party.
I always sense that Napoleon would be an annoying dinner guest.
Right.
He had a lot of success, and I imagine it went to his head.
Yeah, probably.
And he's French. Sorry, French people, please don't sue us.
If he did the cooking, though, if it was like, come dine with me with Napoleon, and the French know what they're doing, right?
A nice coq au vin from Napoleon.
Yeah. Oui.
C'est fantastique.
That was the extent of my French. I was desperately clawing for the word delicious or something, but no, I'll just say yes, and hope for the best.
Hey, that works.
Yeah, and they won't judge you if you do that in France at all.
No, for sure. They might, just speak English back at you because roll their eyes. But yeah,
perhaps a match off the end of their gauloises.
Yeah,
it would be an interesting sort of, because if you're going back into their body as well, if everybody else thinks that you're still that one person, what are if you've got your modern ways of thinking and that, they're probably thinking, one, you're probably descending into some sort of mental illness.
Yeah.
Or two, you could sort of theoretically sort of do the jump on some big inventions. They'd get credited with it, but you'd know it was you.
Well, this is, not to date the podcast, but recently there's been a clip of Ricky Gervais going around this week of someone asked him, how would you prove that you were from the future if you were sent back in time 500 years? And he's just saying, I don't know. I would not be able to because, yeah, I live in this modern technological society, but what do you do? You go 500 years ago, and how do you explain how a car engine works, or how, you can describe things? Oh yeah, we had this thing called the internet where I came from, and they're like, okay, go on then, let's do it now. And you would just shrug and say, well, it was wonderful, but can't help you, you know.
I'm picturing going back, even something like a mobile phone, like going back and going, now this is a mobile telephone. All right, how does it work?
Well, even thinking about mobile phones, like 30 years ago, you go back to it now and just go, look, this is what a mobile phone is now. And they would just be, they wouldn't know what to think either. So
and even if it was a question of being able to replicate it for other people, that you take that out of the equation, you couldn't even prove that the one you have in your pocket works, because it wouldn't work 500 years. You have no signal saying, oh, this is great, like I can't rebuild this and give everyone one, but at least I've got this one. And they're like, okay, show us all the amazing things it can do. You wouldn't be able to do anything because no internet,
you'd open up YouTube,
no phone signal. It's
nothing. It's just a big slideshow.
It would be a torch. Yeah.
You just open it up and it's the Bailey Tapestry.
Yeah.
That won't work. I mean, so question-wise, I feel that not enough detail has been given, because when it says the dead person would be at a time when they were alive, does that mean like actually chronologically as well? Or are you like in the modern day, but at a time when they were alive? It's unclear. So I'm going to leave it open to you, Peter, how you would like to define it.
Did you say it was for a certain period of time? Did it say
1 week?
1 week. Okay. I mean, in terms of defining it, I imagine it means, you wake up, say, during the Napoleonic Wars or whatever, and you spend a week back there. But I mean, before you even can unpack that, before you can even answer that question, you've got to kind of think about what your motives are, because as Sean says, you could try and profit off it and go and do some early inventing, or do you pick, like, do you live like a king for a week? Do you just pick the richest, most kind of looked after person in history and just have a week in luxury? Or do you want to go and solve? You could go and solve some historical mystery. Who built Stonehenge and why? You could go back and just chat to them for a week and have absolutely 0 points of reference and not even understand what they were saying, even if you spoke the same language. That's what they say, isn't it? If you could...
That would be great if just like a new version of Quantum Leap style thing, just going to solving old mysteries from all over space and time.
But like really bad at it.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're saying to me.
I know, I understand the words you're saying because I've got your language in my head, but I still don't get your point, I think there's some idiom or philosophy that was, if a lion could speak English, you still wouldn't understand it, because all he would be talking about is like the taste of zebra, or like running across the savannah, and you're like, well, I don't know what that's like, so we still can't have a conversation because
they've got 16 different words for pounce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At that point, you're just speaking at cross purposes. I'm not even sure if I'd like to talk to a lion. Again, they sort of strike me as sort of the Napoleon of big cats.
I think they're probably really full of themselves. King of the jungle,
they don't even live in jungles.
They don't.
They got that sobriquet. They don't even live there.
It's a conspiracy by Big Lion that they've been spreading around.
He just lies there all day, gets others to do the work for him, and then just takes all the credit for it.
But sitting there looking majestic as well with the big mane.
I know.
Rocking around like that. But for people listening to the audio, I was just waving my head around like a
To be fair, though, we went recently, just before Christmas, we went to Colchester Zoo, close to us, and they've got a lion. They've got a lion there, and that was the first time I heard it roar. We were at the entrance and you could hear it as clear as the bell, and it went through you. You're thinking, okay, you've got some, like you can hold your own a bit. Yeah. Okay.
You've got that. Yeah. You can do something. Yeah.
All right. You're loud. I get that.
Yeah, fine.
I had a similar situation. You know Jimmy Doherty, Jamie Oliver's friend.
Jimmy Doherty. I'm trying to think of the
He eat a load of stuff. They had a thing where they had a
right.
little restaurant at the end of the pier.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not important.
Mhm.
He runs a farm in
Right.
Suffolk, that's sort of like a kind of not only a farm but also like a wildlife reserve.
Hmm.
They've got polar bears. It's crazy.
Oh.
I went there because for a birthday I got to meet tapirs,
Oh, brilliant.
which
Nice.
was wonderful. The weird creatures. They present their tummies like dogs. It's really strange.
Oh,
But there was a cockerel
right.
who
They've
I
got
kept
polar bears, tapirs, and a cockerel.
just one.
Covering all bases. Yeah.
Just opposite the capybaras. And it
Mm.
was one of those cockerels that really wanted you to know he was there.
Right.
Constant calls, much like a lion.
Yeah.
He was the lion of chickens.
Well, they are, aren't they? I mean, they sometimes have a bit of a mane on them as well.
This one
Oh yeah.
was, yeah, he had the wattle going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, they put them right between the tapirs and the capybaras. And honestly, I felt sorry for both.
Yeah. Oh
It's
my.
this obnoxious neighbor.
They are as well. People think so, well, people who aren't perhaps familiar with cockerels, I don't know how much cockerel knowledge there is out there, but might assume that they crow at dawn and maybe that's it. But that is not the case at all. My grandparents had chickens, and sometimes the cockerel would just be crowing all day, and it's loud and it's irritating, and it gets to like 5:45 in the evening, you're thinking, what should we have for dinner? I've got a very good idea what we could have for dinner. And then we can have a peaceful evening after we've had dinner. But well, maybe that rules out perhaps someone from a kind of an agricultural society in history, because we don't want to go anywhere near cockerels. So
you've had enough of that from your childhood.
yeah, for sure. I'm narrowing it down from the whole of history. So no one who's a farmer. People who don't live on the African savannah, stay away from the lions. Yeah. Eventually we'll whittle it down to one person, maybe by the end.
Well, that's the hope. Speaking of your youth,
yes,
how does a young man from the countryside find himself on the internet?
It's a very good question, and I mean, I've there's this whole persona that has developed around me, particularly over the past few years, with what I've been doing online. That I go to National Trust heritage sites a lot, and that I own lots of old yellowing books that have been out of print for 100 years, and all this stuff. And it's very much like I play up to it for sure, but it's also completely true. And it's a strange thing to find yourself in, not just doing online content in general, but the decidedly modern industry of video games content creation. It'd be one thing if I was wandering around doing Tony Robinson style documentaries or something. That
Look
at least
at this bit of old wool.
Yeah, for sure. Then that would still kind of fit with what I am. But, I am kind of, sometimes it feels like I'm a bit at odds with myself, kind of sitting there playing some like current gen game, making ironic Gen Z references. And then I go home and I, do my little boy from the countryside kind of lifestyle. But
crack open the Evelyn War, like feet up in front of the fire,
stick a Werther's original in my mouth and fall asleep. But I mean, yeah, how did I end up where I am? I mean, really probably started when I came to Newcastle, in the northeast for uni. While I was here, I was just trying to make a bit of extra cash on the side, and I was writing for the whatculture.com website. And that was I was doing like science and history style stuff, so kind of a bit more in what is in my wheelhouse, really. And then when I graduated, having studied computer science and didn't really know what on earth I wanted to do, and I think over the course of the course, I'd kind of thought, this is actually a bit dry and not really for me. I'd been doing retro game reviews on YouTube as well, just for fun. I wasn't making any money from it at all. It was just on my YouTube channel, and I happened to send an email to What Culture saying, don't suppose you also need video editors right now? And they replied and said, Yes, actually, we do. And as I alluded to earlier, they brought me on initially to do videos that were in a kind of a science or history sort of style. But within months, maybe 3 or 4 months, they said, "Oh, we've got this gaming channel that's just been wallowing, doing absolutely nothing. We've not uploaded to it for 6 months or something. You own a PS4, don't you?" And that was the logic for, will you now kind of start heading up the production on our gaming channel? And kind of from there, I've gone from one place to the next, continuing to make gaming videos on YouTube, because that's sort of what I fell into, and I've never really escaped it. And I do love it. I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, as you can tell by other things I've been saying, that I've got other interests as well, and I'm enjoying being able to do that stuff on YouTube now that Triple Jump is in the rearview mirror, sadly.
Very much sadly. I mean, it's sort of crazy how that particular clutch of What Culture staff, like how many of them went on to such bigger, better things, like, yourself and Ben Potter, obviously. You got the Cultaholic lot. I mean, for God's sake, there is a video of you with a guy who then later went on to wrestle Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's really strange. I made a music video for Joe Hendry in the What Culture days, and it's really odd now to think that he's got all that success, and somewhere probably on a hard drive I've got a video I cut together of him just playing pool in the What Culture offices to one of his custom songs. It's amazing to see. I think I'm not necessarily referring to myself here, but cream rises to the top, and I think that a lot of the What Culture people have gone on to do fantastic things, and the people who've stayed there as well and are still there from the days that I worked there are doing some brilliant stuff too. So yeah, it's a funny thing. I kind of found that similar. When I was growing up, I was on a website that was dedicated to an animation, a bit of animation software, and so many people who are on that site now are they're doing stuff for like Adult Swim, and I don't just mean they are on the editing team for Adult Swim. I've got I know people who are writers and directors on like large American like animated sitcoms and stuff, and it's so weird, the people that we probably all know at least someone in our life who you were once just on first name terms with. They were like a mate that maybe you would even just go to the pub with, and now they're doing something astounding. And to see people like Joe Hendry doing what they're doing, it's really strange.
I mean, cream rises to the top, as you say. It's sometimes you just get that sort of once in a generation, lightning in a bottle confluence of people.
Yeah,
I mean, and you said yourself, like, there's no way you could have predicted as a young student in Newcastle that you would become a comedy double act.
No, that's the thing
with Ben Potter.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'd always hoped to do would be to just go on and be able to make the kind of content that I'm doing. But in that plan, there was never the idea that like, oh, and I must find a content creation partner who I can be with for 9 years. I've been working with Ben for almost as long as I've known my wife, which is another very strange thing. And she refers to, I think she has, particularly recently, now that me and Ben have essentially gone into business together as an independent venture, she now refers to him as my husband, which I don't know to what extent you guys and like kind of feel like you kind of how well you know each other compared to other people in your lives, just sort of sitting down and chatting as often as you do.
I mean, we haven't known each other as long as you've known Ben.
No, but
we've also not had a professional relationship because this podcast is not making anything.
But it is very different.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, well, we've had conversations about it in the past where you're like, oh yeah, we've only been friends for a couple of years, and then you sort of count it back. It's like, oh no, 8 years now. Yeah. Really? No. You're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that our time together was warped by COVID.
Sure. Yeah.
Because like when I say I've known Sean since 2018, that sounds like 7 years, but it's 4, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you always have to knock a few off, don't you? Or add a few on if you're trying to remember when something was. You're like, that happened 4 years ago, and you're like, oh no, wait, and there was COVID. It happened 7 years ago. Yeah,
when everyone spoke to each other on this very same platform.
Yeah, that's right.
And now we find ourselves here again.
Yeah, here we are.
Can't escape it. So you're not going. Is it really we're sort of eliminating pre-industrial? It sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. As much as I like to wander around places that are pre-industrial on my Saturday, at least then you can have a cup of tea afterwards in the tea room, and I couldn't do that if I went back there and lived it. So
no, you'd be required to grab the plow, I imagine.
For sure, yeah. Unless again, I'm choosing who I want to be. I could be the big boss, but if I wanted to. But I think there is something I find the Victorian period quite interesting maybe in a kind of a morbid way, though, like partly. I think it's, I think it was probably in some ways the best and worst of, certainly in the history of our country anyway. There was so much like innovation and stuff going on, which is really interesting, but also people living in just abject poverty, and in some ways, like you could say, worse than pre-industrial. I mean, I know people were dying of famine in thousands of years ago, but it kind of feels worse when we then have the technology and we have the resources and we have the bloody empire, which we probably shouldn't have, to feed all of these people in London, and we're not doing. But hey, maybe we should keep it light for the podcast. I don't know why I'm going down that route. Wasn't it horrible? People starving to death then and before then. But
and with empire, there we are developing our own culture by stealing it from places that
sure, yeah, for sure.
But you are right though. It feels worse to starve in a town.
Yeah,
but it does in like a hole.
Yeah, that's right. But the point I was starting with was I do find it a very I like watching fiction based in the Victorian period, or playing video games based in that period. I really liked, for example, I've not played a lot of Assassin's Creed, but I did really enjoy Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Was it the one that was set in Victorian London?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
It got a bit messy at a certain point.
Yeah, it did. I forget which subtitles refer to which periods of time, but I think the kind of the sort of I own several books about the sort of the London underworld, the Victorian underworld, that I think are really interesting. Again, it's very much morbid because there was a lot of people did not do well off that society, but it's something that I don't think really has been replicated in quite the same way nowadays, fortunately. But so maybe I'd like to go explore a bit of what do they call it? Like dark tourism, I think they call it nowadays. People who go to kind of morbid places. Maybe I could not just go to a morbid place, but a morbid period in time, and sort of have a wander around these sort of slightly eerie places with strange things going on.
So is that a specific person, or are you sort of like?
Again, I guess I'm narrowing down. It's not a specific person yet, but
If you had like knowledge of where you were going to go beforehand, it would be interesting to sort of be able to do a little bit of research on that area before, and then you sort of like, okay, this is the idea, and then you can get to witness that history that you learnt about as well.
Yeah, that's right. If you knew the time and place that maybe a really significant thing happened, you could see that. But I think as much as anything, it would be. I'd just like to go for a wander, for a week and just see. Maybe it would be good to like be someone like really high society or someone very powerful, so that I could just get into anywhere I wanted to go, and I could go into like an opium den and see what's going on in there, and I could go into like the nastiest of the nasty like pubs and see all walks of life in Victorian England. So I mean, I guess I could just pick any rich Victorian man or woman, I suppose. But
to go on your poverty safari.
Yeah, I know. It feels, the more I describe this,
safari.
it feels like the worst kind of class tourism. Like, I could have picked anyone in time and space, and I've said, what I'd really like to do is go and look at all the poor people in Victorian London.
You could have been Cleopatra, but instead you're some baron.
Yeah,
from the Victorian era, going on a jolly to London.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean it's. I think it's as much like, you know. Again, as I say, I wouldn't be relishing in what I see, but as I say, I've done a lot of reading on the subject. I find it very interesting, and it's just so hard to actually picture, because a lot of the streets in London, or in certain parts of London, have been completely cleared and rebuilt in the past like a couple of 100 years. I mean, some of the really nice old buildings that are made out of marble and so on are still there, but I mean, the word I'm dancing around here is the slums. The Victorian slums no longer exist. This sort of warren of back alleys and strange places with strange people, they don't exist anymore, and so it's quite difficult to actually picture what that would have been like. So I think that's like, I'd like to go and see some of that.
Even the skyline of London would have changed so much. I mean, in the past like 30 years alone, that's changed. And then you had, but before World War II, before World War One.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. A lot of that was destroyed in the Blitz and so on as well. So
it would have been really interesting to see what you know now, and then as you're wandering around and trying not to get cholera.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring that up next, which is that it's a good job. The question isn't just if you could time travel to anywhere, where would you go? Because I probably wouldn't pick somewhere like that with my human body that I have now, my modern human body, because you wouldn't survive a week. Probably you would die almost immediately of something nasty.
So many diseases.
Yeah.
Oh my god, smallpox,
it'd be like
cholera.
The Martians in War of the Worlds. You turn up and then you're like, and I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but if I'm getting to inhabit a body of someone from that period of time, hopefully they've got some level of immunity to some of the stuff going on here.
Sturdier of constitution, having drunk the shit water.
Well, it's funny. Last night I was watching the Netflix documentary on Woodstock '99. I don't know if you're aware of this. Yeah, the train wreck it was called.
That was the Limp Bizkit one, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they were doing these like talking heads with people who were there, and this woman. So they were talking about on day 3 of the festival, the water supply got kind of like contaminated because people were smashing the pipes open because it was so hot. They were trying to like make fountains that they could just dance around in. So they were smashing these pipes, and the drinking water got contaminated. And this woman said she woke up and she had all these like cold sores around her mouth, and like she had a sore throat. And she said, what I was told after the fact is it's something called trench mouth, which was new to me. I mean, I've heard of trench foot, but trench mouth. I mean, what is that? Yeah. So, you definitely want to pick a Victorian body if you were going to the Victorian period. I don't want to get trench mouth. Thank you very much. I don't want to get trench anything. It
is weird, isn't it? Like, it wasn't like the festivals they started with Woodstock and that in America, and then it sort of became like this English thing that sort of, English festivals became this sort of thing that everybody wanted to emulate because that worked so well, even though, it was sort of this American thing for so long. And then what was it? It was 99, wasn't it? Woodstock 99, where it just sort of, they tried it again, but then I don't know. Well, that's still on my my watch list. I really want to give that a go, but it was all for money, was it, or something like that?
Yeah, well, essentially, I think the people got really frustrated because everything was expensive to begin with, and then supplies started running out of the food and water and stuff that they were selling, and so they were just gouging the prices. So they brought independent vendors in to do all the selling of stuff, so that it wasn't just being sold by official Woodstock stands. They had these third parties in, so they were able to just do whatever they wanted price wise, and they started gouging it. And there was a bunch of other things as well that they were annoyed about. But it was so people got very cross, and then they took it out on the entire festival.
So you wouldn't want to be Fred Durst for that 1 week then?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the backstage, I think they were all having quite a nice time. But
this was probably the best week of Fred Durst's life up until that point.
Could be, yeah. I think that's it. Is what I clearly am. Not that I've ever partaken in the modern phenomenon of dark tourism. Although I say modern, I remember reading something recently about how I think it was in the American Civil War. Someone bought this big field that was kind of up the hill from one of the major battle sites of the American Civil War while the conflict was happening, and people were picnicking and watching the American Civil War take place.
Bloody hell!
And it happened as well somewhere in the UK. I don't know if it was as early as the Civil War. No, I don't think it was. I don't know when it was, but in history, people have been doing that kind of thing for a long time, a lot longer than you would expect. But it's also taken on there's a whole new modern industry about it, where you can buy these packages to go and see these, sites where really grisly things have taken place. And although I've never partaken in that, I think there clearly is something in me that is fascinated by it, because not only am I saying I'd love to go to the squalor of Victorian Britain, but watching this Woodstock thing with people kicking off on day 3 and burning the place to the ground. I mean, fortunately, no one was killed. I wouldn't be very pleased if they were, but I think I find civil unrest and stuff really interesting when people just descend into the animal that we all probably have buried deep down inside us. I remember the London riots that happened in 2012 or something. I don't know, roughly.
That was at my nan's road.
Oh, really?
They started. So it was just when you're seeing it all on TV, you're like, holy shit. Nanny,
me and a couple of friends from school we couldn't go to sleep that night because it was all over. There was live coverage all night, and we were messaging each other saying, "Oh my God, have you seen what they've done now?" And we sat up until 4 o'clock in the morning watching this play out, and again, not reveling in it, quite the opposite, being aghast at the fact that people can suddenly turn like that. And I think, as horrible as it is, I am just really interested in the fact that we've probably all of us have got that somewhere buried inside us.
I think I've had the conversation with friends before. I do like a bit of true crime as well, and I think it is that process of because you can't think how you would do that. So trying to understand it from an external perspective of how they have that thought process of doing what they did. It's just trying to understand the world. It's as you were saying about the dark tourism and stuff. Where when I went to Poland, about 10 years ago now, the tour guide that we had, he was a 3rd generation tour guide from Auschwitz, and his nan was was a prisoner, but it was opened as a museum not even 2 years after the war ended.
Oh, really? That soon?
And it was just people were interested to sort of, again, I think it must be to understand what happened or how people could do that. But it's just,
I think there's, as you say, it's trying to work out how you can end up in that situation where you think, this is the correct thing to do, right? Let's do this, and as you say with true crime as well, it's one thing to think of, some huge event in history and say, well, I can't possibly imagine how I would end up in that situation. But when I see a crime of passion or something, a one-off, shall we say, rather than a serial killer, someone who ends up in a situation where they do something terrible. I'm certainly not saying, oh yeah, I can see myself doing that. But what I mean is that those people probably couldn't see themselves doing that, a week or a year before they did it. And then suddenly something just happened in their life and they did something unthinkable. And I think that's what fascinates so many people, is that, the quote unquote normal everyday stuff that can take place at the drop of a hat. How does a, again, quote unquote, normal person suddenly find themselves with a shovel and a bin bag in the back of their car? Like, how do you end up there? It's so strange.
I mean, this whole time, I won't lie, I've been stuck on a thing because we were talking about Victorian era and what did I call it? Poverty safaris.
Yeah.
Inevitably, I feel we must turn to Jack the Ripper.
Sure.
Again, because at this point, there is a full-on industry built around a guy who, or maybe multiple guys, who might possibly, maybe have killed 5 or 6 women in Whitechapel at the turn of the century. Could I tempt you?
Yeah.
With spending one specific week as Jack the Ripper?
Either just before or just after he'd done the bad stuff, and then just,
at the very least, at least you'll then know who it is.
Yeah, I don't have to do any of the bad stuff myself, but yeah, just go and look in the mirror and go, oh, okay, it was him. Yeah, I mean, that did cross my mind when I was saying, because that, as you say, is so inherently linked with the idea. The moment you think of Victorian slum, the pea supers, as they called them, with the green smog that's kind of swirling around. It's the Jack the Ripper image as well, isn't it? That immediately springs to mind. And yeah, it crossed my mind that I could be him and find out who he is, or even just be somewhere near him and find out who he was. But that's another really again, to like go back to sort of dark tourism and the industry that you mentioned as well, the Ripperology aspect. There's such a fine line now, particularly now, I think, as time goes on and we become a bit more sensitive to these things, that it's kind of, sometimes it's a bit not quite glorified but mythologized, I guess is the word, what he got up to, particularly because he was sort of the one that got away, if you like, and no one knows who he was. I think if he'd just been caught and done for it, he'd be just amongst all the others, but he's kind of set on his he's set apart as this like mythologized figure, and it's so easy to kind of again, not glamorize, but it inspires a lot of works of fiction, for example, and some people find that a bit tasteless, and some people find it less tasteless and think, look, as long as you're somewhat respectful, it's fine. So I kind of I skirted around that when it first came to mind, that like, do I go down that road? Maybe to avoid any sort of, the discomfort that might be around, let's go and be Jack the Ripper and find out what went on. I could be spring-heeled Jack if he took place, if he really existed. So this is something I'm quite into, this whole realm of, I don't want to say, I'm not so into like cryptozoology or like the true supernatural. Although I find it interesting. I like a good story, I don't mind a ghost story or something, but I'm really fascinated by stuff that may have a kernel of truth in it, like something may have taken place and it probably wasn't the way that is described now in modern times. So for those who don't know, Spring-heeled Jack is a guy who allegedly was, well, the image that we have in modern times is that he was this guy jumping over like 12-foot walls in Victorian London, and kind of slashing at women's clothes with iron claws, and sometimes he could breathe fire. And all of these images have kind of come together to create this icon in people's minds. But if you read the source material about it, it's a far stranger story. And some of that iconography only came later on. And some of the earliest stories that were attributed to Spring-heeled Jack were he was like this ghost, but in the shape of a bear. There was this ghost bear walking around, and that over time, this ghost bear sort of changed form and moved location, but has been attributed to all one kind of moment of mass hysteria. And so if you really delve into it, some of the earliest references to Spring-heeled Jack, this sort of Jack the Ripper-esque humanoid figure, he's actually the ghost of a bear, which is a really strange thing.
I mean, if great. People would like to. Oh, sorry, go on, John.
No, I was just because I love those kind of old mythological, like there is obviously like the Jersey Devil and stuff like that, which would be really interesting to go into and see what actually started those myths. But there's other funny ones like the mysterious, I think he was called El Spanko. In Victorian London, and it was just literally a guy who I think he had a moustache. Is the only description, but he'd come in, scream, Spanko, smack someone, and then run away. But nobody knew who he was. So he's that kind of weird, mysterious figure of London again. But
at least we know who you'd be. You'd be El Spanko for a week.
It would just be hilarious. Just or even the detective for those weeks, like trying to hunt down Jack the Ripper or Spring-Heeled Jack or someone like that, just seeing what evidence came in and what people were saying that would, because there would be so many weird stories because you didn't have any kind of one line to go for that everything would stick together to, because everyone would just say their own stories that they weren't as connected as we are now.
You could definitely, if you became, I think he was called Aberline, the detective for Jack the Ripper. If you did that, you could certainly clear up some of the stuff that has been a bit lost to history now. If you then came back after a week as Aberline, you could say, I checked the records that no longer exist, and here's some clarification on some of this stuff that we no longer have the specifics for. Because there's this one thing where near to one of the sites where Jack the Ripper did a murder, there was this graffito on the wall. And some people say it's relevant and some people say it's not. It may have been left by him. It probably wasn't, I imagine. But we have two problems, which is it was noted down several times with slightly different wording by various people. We don't have, I don't think there's a photo of it. And also it has a double negative in it. So some people are, and it relates to, there's some reference to Judaism in it. And there's like questions as to whether it was like anti-Semitic or anti-Semitic. I think it says something like, one of the variations, the Jews is not the ones that won't be blamed for nothing, or maybe that's a triple negative. But you know, it's so like, what do you, if that's even relevant, what on earth does that even mean? It's got a double negative in it, which may or may not have been intended to be in there. And so yeah, you could really help the modern day ripperologists by going back with a pen and paper, getting the exact wording of that, and also trying to determine whether it had anything to do with the crimes at all.
What's my source? I was Aberline for a week.
Yeah.
What's your source?
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of this ties back to what remains one of my favorite segments on the Vidiots podcast, Podiots, the Weird Capetia segments.
Sure. Yeah.
Which sort of has now bled into what you're doing on your solo YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The This Is Interesting series seems to have got off to a great start. I have watched them all, really enjoyed them.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Wonder if you could speak to that and you know what people can expect if they went in there.
Yeah, I think that really is, to go back to me saying, you know, I fell into doing the gaming stuff, and I've enjoyed doing the gaming content, and I still enjoy doing the gaming content on Worst Games Ever with Ben. I think in spite of all that, it really is like far more true to me to just be doing kind of strange bits of history and science and that sort of thing. It's just something I've always been interested in. Kind of the weirder, the more obscure, the better. And so, you know, I've got an entire wall of books downstairs that is full of that kind of thing. It's probably why I can so quickly say, oh yeah, such as Spring-Heeled. You know, I don't think a lot of people would use the reference point of Spring-Heeled Jack in conversation.
You just had it. It was just there.
Yeah, I mean, I like I'd kind of forgotten that El Spanko existed, but there is a whole phenomenon of phantom attackers, I think they were called. There was and some of them I covered on the Podiots podcast, or maybe someone else did as well. Sometimes we cross over with each other, but there was the Mad Gasser of Mattoon, or somewhere in America. A guy was going around and people thought they were being gassed. And he's like, I think in modern times he's depicted with a gas mask on, but I don't think that was ever actually reported. And again, has become this kind of mythologized figure. But yeah, so I really like that whole world of the strange and the obscure. And so I think it just seemed like a natural thing for me to do. I'm very fortunate in that I'm in a position at the moment where, thanks to the joys of redundancy legislation, I I have not had to hurry into a new full-time job, which has given me the time to set something up with Ben, with doing Worst Games Ever, to hopefully pay the bills in the future. And then at the same time, the real beauty of the This Is Interesting stuff is that I don't really have to worry too much about just how successful it is from a financial standpoint. And to be able to just spend some time putting out fortnightly videos of things that I'm just genuinely interested in and think lots of other people will be. It's again, it's a real gift, and I feel very fortunate to be able to do that. So yeah, that's the best part of it for me, is that I'm talking about things that I like and not feeling necessarily a pressure to chase an algorithm or chase trends too much. I mean, I still want to make these videos clickable, and I want people to find them and watch them, but it's nice to just have that freedom. So yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot.
It's very similar to what we're doing with this podcast, to be honest with you. Like, just an opportunity to meet people like yourself, and the huge guests we've had, and it's just nice to have something which doesn't feel like you need to rush to monetize, or just something for you that you enjoy. Because I mean, obviously, God knows you've probably had your fill of running on the treadmill of algorithmic nonsense, especially after both videos and triple jump. So fair play to you. I say, having the opportunity to do that. And Worst Games Ever has a Patreon, by the way, if you have enjoyed what Peter Austin has done, and go and watch the videos, and if you feel like slipping in a couple of quid, etc., etc.
Yeah. Shall I do that? Do you want me to? Shall I plug it? Shall I do the plug?
Why not? Do the plug now.
Patreon.com/@worstgamesever. There's no at, I don't think. Oh, I forget which ones have an at in them now.
You fucked it, Peter.
Yeah, I know. I had the opportunity to do an early plug, and I don't even know if it's got an. Hang on, let me confirm. It has no at symbol in it. So now on YouTube, apparently, if you create a new account, your URL will have an at symbol in it, and you can't do custom URLs anymore. That was news to me. That's something I learned in the past couple of months. It used to be that after a certain point, people could create custom URLs, but now it's just at your username. So things are always changing. You always have to react to this stuff. Nothing ever stays the same in this industry.
As languidly as possible, though. It's a little documentary about the time someone got sued for supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah.
Wonderful video, that.
That was that was really interesting.
Thank you.
And is there any that videos or subject that you think you would really like to cover, but think you it would either be sort of too big for where you're for the video lengths that you're doing at the moment, or would you like to? Is there the white whale of subjects that you'd love to cover? If that, I think that was a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I mean, actually, the bigger issue I've had so far is that some stuff feels too short. So I'll come up with something that I think is a really interesting fact, and I'll be like, "Oh, but that's kind of it." I can't. I'll do an intro, and I will have said it in the intro, and there's nothing more to talk about. I can't really think of an example right now off the top of my head, but actually, here's one. So there might be other stuff. You have to kind of collate as much related tangents as you can to try and build up this 4-minute video. But at the moment, I've nothing else to go with this. So this may never be a video. Apparently, there was a period of time, just a brief, like a season, if you like, where orca whales had this fashion of wearing dead salmon on their heads, and it was like a fad in orca society, where they were like, oh, everyone's wearing a dead salmon at the moment on their heads, and then it kind of fell out of fashion. They don't really like it anymore, so I think that's so interesting. And
did I read that they're doing it again now, though? It's coming back on Vogue.
Nice. I like that. These things always come around again. That's what they say, right?
Fashion is cyclical. I've always said that. And it's the same for humans as it is for orcas. One day it's a salmon hat. Sometimes it's seaweed trousers. Who knows?
I know. Well, that's the thing. I'm desperately hoping that they'd start doing more stuff so I can make a whole video out of it. I'm like, when are they going to start, putting tortoises on their heads instead, so I can say I can track the orca fashions over a period of time. But at the moment, there's not enough to talk about in there.
You've got orca fashion, like, and then you've got like the drug habits of dolphins who like to sort of like, what is it, blowfish or whatever, they like to bonk them around to get high and stuff.
Yeah, maybe it's just the life and times of cephalopods. I think that's where we need to be going. Are they cephalopods?
Cetaceans, I think.
Cetaceans, yes.
Yeah. No, that might be the way
to going to kill me for that one.
Yeah. That might be the way to do it, actually, rather than just focus on whales with fish on their heads. A whole video on here are things that whales do that people do too, and no other animals, maybe. So you might. I'm
glad we had this production meeting.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So
throughout this whole thing, you've not once considered picking someone who's alive.
You're right. I've not considered that at all. I immediately said, maybe that is, again, I'm so obsessed with history that I just thought, well, I simply will be going into the past. I'm taking this opportunity. I think that is even on a smaller scale. I'm a bit of a fantasist. I'm a real good old days kind of person. I hate change. I never really like the present day, let alone the future. I can always complain about stuff that's going on right now, and I will always be looking to the past, whether it's my own past and saying wasn't it good in the 90s, or for instance, I've on Triple Jump, I used to sometimes watch kind of 70s and 80s British TV on live streams because, partly because it was actually funny, because it was really wonky and strange. But I also think there's something quite warm and comforting about that. But it's the rose-tinted thing. The 1970s were not a nice time to live in because no one had any money. And one of the things that I've watched from the 70s at Christmas, we watched Fanny Craddock Cooks for Christmas. Fanny Craddock being the Jamie Oliver of the time. I don't know whether she had any tape ears, but she was this very sort of battle axe of a woman who was very scary and had this quite deep, gravelly voice and would almost be kind of scolding you through the camera, like, come on now, no nonsense. Like, why do you not know how to roast a turkey? And throughout the entire thing, this season of Christmas cooking she did in 76 or something, or maybe 72, she is constantly saying, goodness knows my purse strings won't stretch to ham anymore. My purse strings won't stretch to ham. And I'm thinking, yeah, the 70s actually probably wasn't the best place to be. So
my purse strings won't stretch to ham.
Yeah,
that's the name of the episode.
Yeah. Ham purse strings.
So as much as I do, I'm very much. I always look back with rose-tinted glasses, whether it's, as I say, to my own history or even far back into the past, and think, oh yeah, I'd love to live that.
Well, that whole thing was sort of suffused through both Vidiots and Triple Jump. Like, there was always on the right side, I should say, but always a nice friendly nostalgia for the childhoods of people who are roughly in their late 20s, early 30s now.
Thank you for bringing the word nostalgia out of the recesses of my brain. Me sort of describing this phenomenon of, looking back into the past and thinking, oh, that was good, wasn't it? And it makes you feel warm. There is actually a word for that. It's in quite common
and it's
parlance.
Not even German.
No, it's not. Nostalgia, yes.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I always loved about both channels, that you weren't afraid to wear your influences on your sleeve, and also just talk about the things that you enjoyed. Like, I imagine that's why a lot of people came along with you, because it tickles that kind of itch that people have when they remember, God, wasn't Get Your Own Back good?
Exactly. Yeah, it's no surprise, I think, that the average age of our audience is similar to our age. I think I am friendly with several other creators who their audience might be a fair bit younger than them, because they're playing Minecraft, or they're playing modern video games, and they're trying to stay on trend with even stuff like modern slang or whatever. They will appeal to a younger audience because that's where they see the money to be, or the creative fulfillment, or whatever it is. But yeah, I think we have always been quite unashamedly, not completely nostalgic. We have, obviously, at Triple Jump, we had to still stay on the pulse and keep up with video game news and so on. But yeah, as you say, I think wearing influences on our sleeve and making a lot of callbacks to things that, yeah, people under the age of 28 aren't going to understand, and not really minding that that's how it's going to be. So yeah, I think that's probably what breeds a good community as well, is just having people who don't just have a like-minded set of interests, but also maybe do have all those reference points. And actually, I mean, to be fair, we've got a lot of people now who've been introduced to our community over the past few years who have said outright in our comment section or on our Discord, I had no idea who Neil Buchanan was until I started watching your videos, or whoever it is, Mr Blobby, people from the States. It's either because they might be our age, but they're from the USA, or they're from Britain, but they're a lot younger than us. So that's quite nice to add completely out of date references to people's brains.
It's only out of date if you didn't actually grow up with it.
Yes, no, that's true. It's always in date if you still remember Mr Blobby having a fight with Noel Edmonds or whatever. So yeah,
I mean, this is just because I've been listening for so long. The whole saga with Dave Benson Phillips.
Oh, I mean, that's just been so bizarre. Dave Benson Phillips. I don't even know how we started on Dave Benson Phillips. I think we were fascinated by the period of time where he was doing shows in exchange for he was bartering his trade, rather than being paid.
I think that was it. I think it was one of the weird things that someone brought in. It might have been yourself even as a sort of weird thing, but like, yeah, he had a website where he was.
Dave does shows for stuff. I think it was.
He'd do your birthday party for like a flat screen telly or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, what? That's an interesting way to do it. I don't know if you can write off any tax on that, but that's amusing. But to start from there, I mean, that was probably just, this will be a fun conversation for a single podcast or a single video, and then somehow over time we ended up talking about him more and more. And then for the final video of Vidiots, we got him to record us a message, which, he did in true Dave Benson Phillips style, which was didn't follow the script that we requested, did it in a room with just a stack of DVDs in frame behind him.
It was off center as well. That was the best part of it.
Yeah,
it had not been framed in a way that.
Yeah, but it was really, that's definitely something actually that it's something that feels strange, and also something I'm very grateful for, is the number of not even direct interactions with celebrities that I've had over the years. So it's not like I've not necessarily interviewed a lot of celebrities, whereas I know people who have done, who are in this industry. They've been fortunate to go to press junkets or whatever. I've not done a lot of that. I've done stuff like Dick and Dom posted a clip of us laughing at a Dick and Dom joke book on their Instagram, or we got to interview Peter Serafinowicz, but he was, for the entire call, was in character as Brian Butterfield, to the point that he answered. He answered the Zoom call going, "Hello, are we ready to start the interview?" And then finished it by saying, "Okay, I've got to go now, goodbye," and then ended the call. So I am probably one of the only people in the world who can say that I have interviewed Brian Butterfield, but never spoken to Peter Serafinowicz. It's a real pleasure. And there've been a few things like that. We had the guy who voiced the neighbor's cat from Dick and Dom in the Bungalow do a personalized message for us as well, which was very kind of him, who now is a puppeteer for Star Wars, which is very cool. So
awesome.
Yeah.
You got to be on children's television yourself, of course. You were on Saturday Mashup a couple of weeks before I went on.
Yeah. Well, in fact, that's the same man. So the puppeteer for Stanley on Saturday Mashup, their puppet mascot, the puppeteer is Dave Chapman, who did the Neighbours Cat on Dick and Dom and did some Star Wars stuff and all kinds of things.
I'm 90% certain he does Rattus on Horrible Histories as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, he may well do.
I think he's just CBBC's in-house puppet guy.
Exactly. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm sure he probably does. I mean, I grew up on Otis the Aardvark, to do another nostalgic reference, and he did Otis the Aardvark as well. But yeah, I mean, going on Saturday Mashup, I think that was the highlight of the 6 years I did at Triple Jump, and it came right towards the end. To be invited on CBBC is such a strange and wonderful thing, and Saturday morning kids TV as well. It's not just, would you come onto News Round, if that still exists? I don't know if it probably doesn't, does it? But
oh no, it does. Yeah, my kids tell me that they watch it regularly at school to actually sort of break down news, which is kind of cool still.
Well, I'm glad it does exist. I'm pleasantly surprised, but yeah. So to be that would have been, I would have been honoured to be invited onto News Round, for example, and just talk about some video game story for 5 minutes. But to actually be brought onto the chaos of live Saturday morning kids TV is a real badge of honour. I think the only badge of honour we missed out on, though, was not getting slimed. I think we were kind of hoping for it, to be honest. But
I've said it before on this podcast, and I will say it again. Being slimed is like jury duty. You think you want to do it, but you don't. And as a man who has done both, I speak with some considerable authority.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, we were on Saturday Mashup. The other guests who were on, and they were the headliners, were the cast of Mallory Towers, or a few of them anyway. I think 3 of the girls from Mallory Towers were on, and we were staying at the same hotel with them. And we got into the big minibus in the morning on the way over to the studio, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, they've told us that it's just us 3 in line for the sliming, and we're really worried about it." And and we're saying, "Oh, you don't want to get slimed, like I understand." And they're like, "Yeah, it's partly that, but also they ask you questions, like you do a quiz, and it's about current events. It's like the news this week, and we're going to get all the questions wrong and look really silly." And I said to them, I guarantee you, right? Because I knew that is what the questions that you get asked are current stuff. So that week, I'd been keeping my eyes on the news because I thought, hey, maybe I might get quizzed on this week. And I said to them, because it's recorded in BBC Scotland, I said, I guarantee you one of the questions will be, what is the name of the baby pygmy hippo that has just been born at Edinburgh Zoo? Because there was the more famous one,
Moo Dang,
right? And then one had just been born in Scotland. I was like, they're going to ask that on kids TV easily. And the hippo was called Haggis, right? So I said, right, so just remember this, hippo is called Haggis. And then the poor girl who got voted for sliming sat there. She had like 6 questions asked. They were quite tricky questions. She got them all wrong. I think I only knew one of them, maybe. Covered in slime. And then there's like 3 seconds left on the clock. And then they say, what is the name of the baby hippo at Edinburgh Zoo? And the camera just cuts away from her at the end of the question and cuts to like a wide. But in the last 5 frames before it cuts away, you see this like wave of relief wash over. She's like, I know this one. And she quite smugly says Haggis, and then they slime her anyway, because that's what they do on the last question, don't they? Keep sliming, is what they say. So,
I mean, I'm gonna be absolutely honest. The questions are arbitrary. You're getting slimed even if you get them all right. Everyone's screaming.
Yeah.
Like they did an interview with me once, one of the 3 times that I've been on now, because I'm the acceptable face of Horrible Histories, apparently.
Yeah.
But they had one where they sat me on like a pedestal, with like a vibrating floor.
Yeah.
And then like a popcorn and everywhere, and they're asking questions. And partway through, I think I generally said, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't hear these questions because this is underneath me is screaming with an engine.
Yeah. Just give me the cue card. I'll read them myself.
I've got popcorn in my ears.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do. Peter, my God, I've just looked at the time, and we are hoovering up time that we frankly didn't request from you.
Oh, no, don't worry about that. I think I'm as guilty as anyone else talking about Spring Heel Jack for some reason. And
I mean, in many ways, it is a compliment to yourself because I lost track of time because I was enjoying talking to you.
Well, me too. I also lost track of time, so that's good. So I think we've settled on the man or woman, presumably man, because it was that kind of society, who was investigating the crimes of Spring-Heeled Jack. Because we'll steer clear of Jack the Ripper, I think.
He's had enough attention.
He has, yeah.
Serial killers shouldn't be trendy. All right, I'm just going to go out there. That's my line in the sand. That's my conservative opinion.
That's what we'll put on some merch, I think.
Along with the Kate Beckinsale shorts, which we still haven't done yet.
Nope. Laziness.
And also I don't know where to go for that.
Certainly not what I thought I would settle on when the question was asked. I couldn't have predicted, I would say, the detective. Not even I'd like to be Spring Heel Jack for a week. Just the guy who was investigating him. Strange conclusion. You
know what it is? It's sometimes some dreams are smaller than others.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a modest man. I don't want to be King Henry VIII. I don't want to be, you name it. I don't want to be Elon Musk. Well, I certainly don't want to be Elon Musk, but yeah.
Especially not right now.
No, for sure.
I can't imagine he's having a great time.
No, I don't think so. He seems like a very sad man, doesn't he? Money absolutely cannot buy you happiness, because the richest man in the world is also one of the saddest. I mean, if ever there was an illustration of money can't buy happiness, it's Elon Musk.
He's like a biblical parable at this point.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Jesus would have told this story if he knew about like X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jesus standing on top of a burning Waymo, delivering the parable to the masses.
The parable of X,
formerly known as the parable of Twitter.
There was once a man from South Africa. You don't know what that is because it doesn't exist right now, but
do you know what emeralds are? No. Okay. Well. Yeah.
Oh God! Please don't sue us, Elon Musk. We've asked him not to sue us maybe 6 episodes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're doing internet content right if you're not asking Elon Musk to not sue you. I think it's you're clearly doing something correct, I think.
And as a man who has been an internet content creator for as long as you have, that I'm going to take that as a badge that we're doing things correct on. Like us constantly demanding that we don't get sued.
Is that my one kernel of wisdom on content creation from this podcast?
It's what I've taken from it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
No, because I liked all the Spring Heel Jack stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I liked the Poverty Safari.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot about you as a person.
Oh well, I'm glad. I'm glad that Spanko was re-brought to my attention, and that we solved the "how do I talk about whales with hats" issue. Because I am now genuinely in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, I could do a wider subject on whales doing people things. So
and dolphins have accents apparently as well.
Oh right, yeah, I know apparently. That some dogs, some animals have accents like dogs. I've heard. So
I need to listen to some dog accents. That would be hilarious.
Doesn't surprise me.
Well, all we ask for is full credit.
Sure, yeah, that's absolutely on the cards.
So yeah, well, we've landed on it. A pint of Cthulhu. Peter Austin would pick a detective who was working on the case of Spring Heel Jack in the Victorian era.
We don't know his name. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Peter, thank you so much for coming on. It has been a joy, a real joy.
It really has. And thank you.
Especially for me and Sean as fans. Like, this was really lovely. And
no, my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun.
So even though we let you plug something in the middle of the show, we also allow plugs at the end.
Thank you.
So you've sort of hacked the podcast in that way.
I have a bit, yeah. I've done a little mid-roll ad halfway through. I must admit, it was partly because I'd lost track of time and didn't think to just look at the clock in the corner of my screen and thought, are we near the end? Is that a pregnant pause saying, please plug your Patreon? And then I realized, no, it wasn't. That's not what that was.
We still had a good 20 minutes left.
Yeah. I forgot that clocks exist. I guess I was back in my... living in history again, in perhaps in a period where clocks hadn't been invented. But so you can find me as a solo creator doing my This Is Interesting videos about all kinds of things at youtube.com/@thatpeterAustin. As an example, did a video about how you can allegedly navigate the ocean by stabbing a dog. How, you ask? You'll have to watch the video.
That was a particularly good one. Like that was again, like you were saying, how you have to draw together all sorts of different elements to sort of make the story.
A strange
when you started talking, it was like I was okay, well, but where did the dogs come in?
Yeah, where's this going? Yeah,
it's a real journey.
It is for sure, and one that's probably not monetizable. So hey, maybe you can go to that Patreon if you like. But you can also, as well as the Worst Games Ever Patreon, you can of course find me at the Worst Games Ever YouTube channel, where me and Ben Potter, former Triple Jump co-host, play some of the worst video games of all time. youtube.com/@worstgamesever. That's a format we've been doing a long time, and long may it continue.
I always think one day they're going to run out of shit games for wankers.
Well, fortunately, we've had a rule for as long as we've been doing it that we don't do Steam shovelware, because you know you get 10 of those released every week. So in the unlikely event we ever run out of quote unquote proper bad games, we do have thousands and thousands of really bad Steam games to fall back on. But you'd be surprised at how many console games there are that are actually terrible. So we've still got at least a few more years worth of those to play, fortunately.
And thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
I assume everyone also, if people are interested in the backlog as well, Vidiots and Triple Jump both are still archived and exist.
They are. They're all still on YouTube, and I believe if you just search for Worst Games Ever playlist in the YouTube search bar, someone has unofficially put all. So we did 6 episodes at What Culture as well. That's where it started. So all the episodes from every venture that we've taken the show to are all in one big playlist, not curated by us, but I believe it is complete. So yeah, you can find the whole back catalogue just by searching YouTube, I think.
That's like what happened with us, Sean, when we found out someone had done an IMDb for us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't. Which sleeper cell did we activate? Bizarre. Well, again, thank you, Peter, for coming on, and please do go check out everything he does, because he's great.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Hey, not a problem. Sean, say something nice to Peter.
Yeah, just thanks so much again, man. I've realised I was a little bit quiet through this whole through this whole episode, because I've just been kind of like, oh, this is really cool. So but thank you so much for coming on, man, and it's just been an absolute pleasure and honour to have you.
Well, thank you very much. I probably didn't come up for air to give you a chance to say whales have accents or anything else. So, no, thanks very much.
Very much looking forward to that video as well. Right.
Yeah.
Check it out in the future.
For sure.
Salmon killer whale. Credits!
Thank you for listening to Shut Up and Answer the Question. I am Sean Antony at Sean Antony everywhere and Loudmouth Gaming on YouTube, and my co-host is Ethan Lawrence, Ethan D. Lawrence everywhere. If you want to follow us, we are Shut Up and Answer Pod on Instagram, Shut Up Pod on TikTok, and we now have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to Shut Up and Answer the Question. Oh, that's weird saying that. If you have a question you would like us to answer, send it to shutuppod@yahoo.com or join the legal team on our Discord. The music was by Eyes on Legs and the artwork was by Kitsune Kei. Thanks Podbean for hosting us. Catch you later.
I must admit, I pulled it out of nowhere, panicked, and then thought, oh my God, am I literally describing poverty tourism here? I thought, it's okay, we'll turn this into anthropology and social history. We'll make it work. I'm glad it wasn't too that we made something out of it. I thought kind of like, am I not keeping this light enough? Where are we going with this?
We never know. I mean, yeah. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't expecting to talk about the Victorian era quite as much.
No, me neither.
We did.
Me neither.